Jeff Drexler?
I wouldn't call your kids chickens.
Oh, thank you.
When the master plan was last updated, I was the chair of the subcommittee on economics and demographics, if I recall. And what the town did not want to do at that time was to create a commercial zoning district. They were comfortable with the way things currently were running, and that is, we'll take commercial on a case-by-case basis, on a special exception or variance basis, but they didn't want to set aside a block of Dunbarton as commercial only.
Right.
Just to clarify.
Just a couple more questions, anybody? Yeah, Don.
We did the community profile this summer, and in it, well, there was a lot of suggestions, both economical, education, of course, communication with cable and internet service here at Dunbarton. And one thing that all the different subcommittees had was a central meeting place. What are the selectmen going to do about providing a central meeting place other than the gym that is occupied by the recreation department all the time?
Well, I think part of our thinking is, when we do build the new town office, they'll put a room big enough for a meeting place. That's part of their thinking. So again, none of these things are, we haven't gone to any architects or anything. Before we actually sit down and start plotting out what kind of building we want, we have to find a piece of property. We have to find some land to put these buildings on. Whether it's one building, two buildings, three buildings. But we do have that in mind. We realize that it would be nice to have a bigger meeting place than what we have now. And there's nothing wrong with the gym, except it's not acoustically conducive to having meetings. You can't hear yourself in the meet. Even if we had the space available, it's not what people envisioned 20 years ago when they built the community center. It was supposed to be for the school and for the town. But nobody wants to have meetings in the community center.
Well, when you talk about space available in that, you do have a space available in the town hall.
That's right, and I'm all for renovating the town hall. I was on that committee. I was the treasurer of that committee for 2 years, and I'm all for doing that, but I'm not for spending $1 million for the upstairs.
But can you come up with a way that it can be done?
No, once they started looking to the town to fund it, that's when I left.
Jeff.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I've got a question, Ted. This year's town report's dedicated to all of our wonderful volunteers in town. We got a lot of them. We had a very energetic and passionate group of people on that town hall committee. The selectmen chose not to reappoint them. Why? If you value volunteers, why didn't you reappoint that committee? They could still be out working, trying to find other ways of doing that job. They had access to grant funding and to donations. Why didn't the selectmen reappoint them?
Well, I think the main reason they didn't appoint them, they weren't following the rules. When you're a town committee, your meetings have to be posted. They have to be posted at least 24 hours ahead of time. And you have to take minutes. The minutes are supposed to be available to anybody in the public. And we felt, looking back, that the meetings hadn't been properly posted, the meetings weren't available like they're supposed to be, and we decided they were more of a private organization than they were a town committee. So that's why they voted not to reappoint
Can
them.
I follow up? Because
Yeah,
I
go
went
ahead.
to a lot of their meetings later on to assist them, and they were posting, they were reviewing, they were approving minutes. I wasn't on the committee, but they were doing all those things. So that sounds like a process thing, and you can certainly instruct a volunteer
We
committee
did.
to follow the process.
We had them,
And
we
can I
talked to
finish?
them many times about their meetings, posting their meetings and their minutes.
Can I finish?
You can finish.
Thank you. I saw them doing it, but it was after that. It was after that. They were, seemed to me they were following the rules, that the selectmen chose not to appoint them. I mean, the nomination was made and nobody seconded the nomination. If you really, truly value volunteers, why wouldn't you reappoint them?
I told you why the selectmen decided not to reappoint him. We can argue this all night.
Okay, thanks.
That's fine.
But
Any
that was
other
our
questions?
impression.
Are there any other questions? Nancy?
Okay, this is for both, selectmen candidates and the school board candidates. SB 2's on the ballot this year, I hope it doesn't pass, but, historically, towns that have adapted, SB 2 have seen a major decrease in the attendance at the deliberative sessions. What do you plan to do to encourage people to attend and be informed?
Well, when we voted on the warrant article, all three selectmen did not recommend the passage of that warrant article. So, when it comes down to town meeting, people are gonna have their town report, and they're gonna read that the selectmen did not recommend the passage of this warrant article by voting 3-0. I personally don't see it passing.
And if you wanna know where I am, I'm opposed to SB 2. Most of the communities that have it haven't done very well, so, I mean, I guess I would just as soon see it go down the toilet, just like some of the other one, which is the 2.5% tax cap, which doesn't exactly settle any problems in this town. I mean, there's some years you're gonna have a tax cap that may be very little, and there's gonna be some years where it might be that we have to spend the monies to do things. And so as far as those two pieces of legislation, as far as I'm concerned, you know, you've got my 2 cents worth.
Clem or Jarrett, do you wanna respond?
I wanted to make my comment before.
Oh,
As far as,
yeah.
as far as he
Come on,
brought
Ted,
up,
I haven't said
as far as he brought up the tax cap, my feeling is Dunbarton already has a tax cap. It's town meeting. You look at the budget, you look at the warrant articles, and if you think that the town is trying to spend more money than you're willing to, you vote no. That's your tax cap. That's a much better tax cap than you'll ever get by legislation. So that's my 2 cents on a tax cap.
So back to your question, Nancy, yeah, the school board also voted unanimously to not recommend either one of those. But I think your question was more towards what would happen if it did pass.
Yeah, it was, yes.
So I think the school board would still do a lot of diligence that it does now, and it's very active in sending out the School Bells newsletter. We try to promote as much as we can, and we want active involvement at our meetings. As much as everyone likes to hear themselves talk, it's much better to have the public there. So we would still do much of the same things that we do now, but I don't think if there wasn't a vote, I don't think we'd have the ability to get too many people there.
Thanks.
Just a principal question for him. Would the defeat in the House of that, bill that was gonna give us added revenue for the all-day kindergarten?
House Bill 1653.
Yeah, whatever, I can't remember the number. Without that, what is gonna be the, impact if the all-day kindergarten, passes? As opposed to if we had gotten that extra money?
The all-day kindergarten, right now, as it's proposed, is conditional. So that means it would only happen if we have a space available. The school board this year recommended a budget that decreases the 5th grade class going into the 6th grade class down to 1 teacher. So in reality, over last year's recommended budget, it would be basically keeping a teacher and expanding that to have the kindergarten class become all day. So what that means is that would be adding in a $67,000 salary, because that was the budget amount, and then another $8,000 worth of equipment, because we need more smaller chairs and things like that. And it would be the kind of thing that the school board decides year to year, whether or not we have the space available, and they have the sole responsibility to do that, or the authority to do that.
Question, you were adding in a salary, but you've already taken a salary
The
away
budget
because
as
you're
it is
increasing a
now is
teacher.
reflects the budget number of it coming out, which is a different number because of budgeting practices. You don't wanna over budget or under budget, but the current budget as proposed by the board does not have that teacher salary in it.
Has that teacher physically left or
No,
just been
no, this is
assigned other
next year's
duties?
budget.
Okay, my question is, you're gonna be combining one class because the numbers are low. So a teacher's salary has been taken out of the equation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, is that teacher physically gone, or is that teacher just been reassigned to other duties in the building?
All of our teachers are certified to teach K through 6, so it's up to the administration to assign the classrooms, the teachers to the classes and the grades, so they,
So the teacher, we still have the teacher.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that would
Okay,
be,
so we
we
didn't
would
lose the
still
teacher,
have
we
the
just
same
lost
amount
the
of
classroom.
teachers,
So
whether
we're
or not
teaching-
somebody, I can't speak
We're
for
running
what the
fewer classes,
administration.
but we're running one less class, but we still have the same number of teachers.
We would have one less 6th grade class.
I didn't say that. I
Right.
asked if we are physically losing a teacher.
Not if we have the room and we have kindergarten,
Mhm.
we will keep that teacher. Is that what you're asking?
No, what I'm asking is, forget kindergarten for a second. We have 1st through 6th, we have 12 classes, correct? We are only gonna have 11 because we are combining one grade, correct?
We actually have 13 because we have kindergarten.
Well, but just
Okay.
bear with me.
I'm trying.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, you have right now 12 teachers teaching 12 classes, forget kindergarten for a
Okay.
second, okay. We're gonna have 11 classes. Has a teacher physically left the building?
Shifted over, no, she shifted over to another class, to another grade. All the
Down and
elementary
over?
teachers are eligible to teach K
Am I-
through
No, I
6.
understand.
Am I not saying it the right way?
No,
Let's just say it this way, let's say it this
Explain
way.
it.
So, in March, we're gonna vote on the all-day kindergarten article,
Yes.
okay? That $75,000 pays for equipment and a teacher to come back into the budget, which is out right now. The physical person is here through, by contract, through the end of the year. The decision will be made by the administration in April after the vote to find out what happens, or late March, whether that teacher will be shifted and then still remain in position next year. If the all-day kindergarten doesn't pass, that position isn't there, we will lose a teacher.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
We currently have all the teachers, but in the fall, we may not.
Right.
That was my
There, yeah,
question,
yeah.
thank
And
you.
this is a very good discussion to have at the school district meeting
Yes.
at 3 o'clock on Saturday. One final, yeah, Brian, one final.
Question on the kindergarten, do I understand you correctly, that it's gonna be a year-by-year basis on the kindergarten? at this
Yes.
particular time?
That's,
Why would the school board in good conscience do that and take and put everybody's future decisions on a roller coaster ride as whether they're gonna have kindergarten or not have kindergarten all day or not all day? I would think,
Because we looked at all the options that were before us, there's a report in there, in the town report, if you wanna read it, but we had several options. One was the A, to build an addition, which was $270,000, $300,000, which we thought, given everything that happened in the past year, probably wasn't the best option.
safe though.
So, to go way back, the committee looked at all-day kindergarten and decided it was a very good thing. It's a very, the way that kindergarten is basically the new 1st grade. It's much different than what I remember it being, and it's extremely, it shows a lot of benefits for education further down the line, not just in the next year, but for years and years and years. So with that in mind, that is why the all-day kindergarten came back to these options that we had, which was to build an addition, or send either our kindergarten or 6th graders to Bow. Kindergarten, they don't have the room for, not that that would have been the best solution, and for the 6th graders, that's a tuition cost, and it's extremely expensive. That would be $200,000 to $400,000 a year. The other one was to offer an extended kindergarten day, and that one is logistically really tough to do with space confinement, because we have specials, we have other things like that, and so that would mean that instead of having a half day, you have like a 3/4 day, and while there's another class coming in, there's another class out, either at recess or at an art thing, and we just don't have that kind of coverage. And you still have to, so you'd have to add another para, and it just didn't seem like it would address the needs as it was. So then we came to this conditional thing, which we think if we have such a situation as we do right now in the 5th grade going to 6th grade, which is a small class, it's about 22 students, it's reasonable to condense that into one grade, and that gives us an opportunity to take advantage of the space, which it gives us the opportunity to give all-day kindergarten. We have a census that we sent out, and we think that in future years, we might have another bubble moving up through the classes, where we can still take advantage of that. We did do a census, we sent it out, it shows 29 kids, I think, coming into 1st grade next year, and 21 the year after that.
These are, I know Tom has another meeting he has to get to. These are really good questions to ask on Saturday at 3 o'clock, downstairs in the gym, and then town meeting on Sunday. Remember, you don't vote for SB Tuesday. Tuesday, you don't vote for SB 2 at either of these town meetings. It's on the paper ballot, remember that.
Right.
Thank you, stay and talk to your candidates if you have more questions for them. Thank you all for being here.